Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. This is a podcast where we watch movies that we haven't seen yet. I'm your host today, Betsy, and with me is Trent.
Hi.
We are continuing on in our Decades series. We already came and went from 1963, and now we are on to the 70s. With 1973, we are watching American Graffiti.
American Graffiti.
American
Graffiti.
Graffiti. So this is a movie that I have seen exactly one time. And Trent, you have never seen this movie.
I have never. We have referred to the man who wrote and directed this movie many times.
Who's
on
that,
this
Trent?
podcast. That would be Mr. George Lucas.
You mean something that is not Star Wars?
Something that is not Star Wars.
Uh-huh. And this came out obviously 4 years before Star Wars, when his career was on a very different trajectory.
Indeed, and we have not yet covered any George Lucas movies, if you can believe it.
Okay, listen, we covered Solo, but it's not technically a George Lucas movie.
That's not a George Lucas movie.
However, there is a connection from that movie to this movie,
It's
Trent.
true.
So why don't you tell the people what you know about American Graffiti?
Well, it's a period piece.
It is. We seem to do that a lot when we do this series.
Yeah, because when we talk about movies that define a decade, and I don't mean to get all philosophical on everybody here, but when we're talking about these kinds of movies, the best movies from each era sometimes look back on previous eras. This movie is about the 1950s, which I imagine is very much what George Lucas was going through as a young man.
Yeah, this is semi-autobiographical. He at least grew up in this era and he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, and I know Harrison Ford is the star.
Is he?
I mean, I don't know. I know he's in the movie.
Okay, you are right. He is in the movie.
Yeah, and I know it's Ron Howard, which, again, the connection, Ron Howard directed the movie Solo.
So it's coming full circle.
Yeah, at least he directed the final version of Solo anyway, but you can go back and listen to that episode, and we talked about it there.
And this is post Andy Griffith, pre
Yeah.
Happy Days.
Yeah.
For Ron Howard.
And for George Lucas, this is his second movie?
I believe so.
Yeah.
He does not have a lot pre-Star Wars.
No, it's the THX movie, then this, then Star Wars. And that's basically been his career, because I don't know if he ever made another movie that wasn't in the Star Wars universe.
Does he have something to do with Howard the Duck? Is that him?
It was his production company, yes. I don't know if he himself had anything to do with it, but I know his company did.
We're going to investigate that off air.
Eventually, we will watch Howard the Duck.
No.
It is a part.
No.
Yes, it is a part of a series we have coming up, I don't know, in the next 5 years.
Sometime, someday.
Yes.
All right, well, do you know anybody else who might be in this movie that you'd recognize?
I know nothing else about this movie other than what I just said. It's based in the 1950s. I know they're young people, high school-ish, maybe?
Okay.
I think. And maybe this is just his version of Grease, but not a musical.
I don't ever want to see him attempt a musical. That would be a terrible idea. I will tell you, this one is not a musical.
Thank God.
All right, well, with that, we're going to go and watch American Graffiti, and we'll be right back. And we're back. That was 1973's American Graffiti. Trent, how do you feel?
I don't know what I was expecting with that one. Because going in, I figured, okay, it's going to be like a long coming-of-age story set in the 1950s, because this is just my impression of it. It was not that. This is a one-night story. I don't know if we've really talked about it on the podcast, but Betsy and I talk about movies that take place over a relatively short amount of time.
Kind of like the bottle timeline.
Yeah, one day, one night, shit like that. This was not what I was expecting, and it's not a bad movie. I was just kind of maybe taken aback by how little there is in it.
It's a series of vignettes, so you were close. It's not the 1950s, it's 1962. But I can understand why you thought that, because this is that thing in the decade where it still feels like the 50s in a lot of ways.
Right.
Like there's a lot of commentary about car culture and rock and roll, and everybody just drives around.
That's
this is
all they did.
do.
Yeah.
And you're right. It just is one evening. They are going, two of the characters are going to college tomorrow.
Right.
So it's their last night in town. So it's one last night, one final ride.
One last job.
One last job.
Hashtag one last job. And you talked about college. This is back when, like, going to college was a big deal. It was not expected of you to go to college.
Especially because they're referring to it as back east. These guys are going 3,000 miles across the country to an East Coast school because this is supposedly Modesto, California. They don't explicitly say it, but you can kind of deduce it's California just with some circumstances.
Sure.
And it's just a series of vignettes. Here's a character, and this is what they're going through all night, and here's a character, and this is what they're going through. And not really anything of consequence happens.
No.
The most major thing is the Richard Dreyfuss character at the beginning is very wishy-washy, and he's not sure he's going to leave. And Ron Howard, credited here as Ronny Howard.
Still Ronny.
If that gives you an indication of how young he is.
Yeah.
He's dead set on going, and by the end of the movie, they flip-flop.
Yeah, and that's about the only, like, character arc that there is in the entire movie. And I don't want to call this like, this is just some kind of student film, because no, this was put out by a major studio.
With a major producer.
Yeah,
This
Francis
is produced.
Ford Coppola was the producer on this movie, which is one of the reasons why I think it was Universal, right?
I think
The studio,
so. Yeah.
which is why the studio was willing to give him the money. Because, hey, the year before, what came out, Betsy?
That would be The Godfather.
Indeed.
He had a little bit of clout.
Little movie called The Godfather, and Francis Ford Coppola had a big name.
It's funny for me to remember how George Lucas was really good at making the right friends.
You think?
Because this dude could easily have never made a movie in his life.
Right.
And the first movie he made, we've not seen THX 1138. There are references to it in this movie, which is, I didn't notice the first time I watched it. I don't know anything about that except it's another kind of sci-fi, weird, out there movie.
Yeah.
So that could have been the beginning and end of his career. And then he makes this, which is a love letter to the 1960s. And you're right, kind of nothing happens. So I'm going to be real. I've seen this now twice. The first time I thought it was boring and I didn't really remember much about it. The second time I'm like, okay, I'm older now. I'm going to watch this movie. Maybe I'll appreciate it more. Still kind of boring.
Yeah. And like, I'm trying to like harken back to my time in the late 90s and early 2000s when I was in high school, and trying to relate to these characters, which, by the way, the actors were all the wrong ages, except for like one or two.
Little Ronny Howard.
Little Ronny Howard. He was 18 when he made this movie. But fucking Richard Dreyfuss, he's 25 making this movie, playing 17, looking like he's 35.
And Harrison Ford turned 30 while he was making
he
this.
was actually 30.
Yes, they were grown-ass men.
Right.
In the tradition of films playing high schoolers.
In those days, yes.
In those days.
It's gotten a lot better in recent decades. But again, going back and thinking when I was in high school about to leave my friends and like making some larger decisions that maybe people that age should not be, making, like signing contracts where you're going to try to pay back tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans.
It's fine.
Yeah. This guy, Kurt, got a scholarship from the Moose Lodge?
The Moose Lodge gave him $2,000, and it was like the first time they'd ever given out a scholarship.
Right.
Which in 1962 was a shitload of money.
Yeah.
You could buy a car for $800.
You could buy 2 cars.
Yeah, you said, that car is $800?
Yeah, the price tag on the front of the front of the car, $800.
Meanwhile, a television was $169.
Right.
Just to tell you.
Just goes to show you how expensive TVs were. Like, that was a luxury item.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
But I, like you, was trying to see, okay, there were moments where I was reminded of when I was in high school living in a small town, like driving the Loop That was the thing you did around here. You drove your car in circles, and if you didn't have a car, you rode in the passenger seat with your friend who did. And you just went in circles all night and saw who was out driving, and that's how you spent an evening. And that was in 2000s when there was other stuff we could do. We had the internet, we had a movie theater, we had stuff to do. These people are
but not mobile. Nobody really had cell phones back in the day. We certainly didn't have the internet on our cell phones back in the day.
You rolled down the window and screamed, "Hey, come pull over!"
hey, where's so and so? Oh, they're back two blocks.
Yeah, just pull over. You'll see.
Right, you don't need to call them. You don't need to text them.
So I was trying to remember that time in my life, and there are moments in this movie where I'm like, okay, I remember that feeling of being young and what can we get up to and what mischief can we make.
Yeah.
But also, I just think this is so on point for people who are the baby boomers that it's really hard for me to relate to this movie. Like, they all go to the sock hop and they drive their cars and they listen to the radio, and that's just their lives.
They go to the drive-in.
Yeah.
They get a thing of soda for 10 cents.
So it's really hard to watch this in 2023 and go, yes, I understand these feelings and the experiences you're having, because I don't. I really don't. Like, there's kids blowing up cherry bombs in the bathroom at the school dance.
Yeah.
You know, you can appreciate the Ron Howard character when he tells off the teacher and he's like, go kiss a duck or whatever he says.
I graduated last semester.
Yeah, you literally don't even remember. Like, he's trying, in the process of trying to suspend him, but he talked back because he could. There's nothing you can do about it now.
And that's like the most rebellious thing that you can do.
Yeah. So, okay, good for you. Like, there's moments in my life where, sure, you wish you could tell that boss or that teacher, that person who made your life hell, what you really think.
Yeah. Then there's also, like, talking about the same scene, there's this creepy teacher who was, like, hitting on the high school girls, calling them sexy.
There's a lot of things in this movie that wouldn't fly now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of really dated things, and that is certainly one of them. It's also just how casual that teacher is with Richard Dreyfuss. It's like he's maybe only a few years older. He's the cool young teacher who also looks about 45.
Betsy, these two people on the screen look exactly the same age.
But they're not, because one's a teacher and one just graduated.
Right, that was taking me out of it. Like, I didn't know who this guy was. The only reason I thought he was a teacher is because he was dressed up.
He was in a suit.
Yeah.
In 1962, you'd have a crew cut in a suit.
Yep.
And that's how you blend in. And everybody else looks like that in this movie. All the girls have big hair.
And long skirts.
Long skirts.
I was transfixed by the length of these skirts.
They're all very modest. It's the early 60s. We haven't gotten to the rock and roll of the late 60s where everybody started, hiking those skirts a little bit higher day after day.
Yeah.
The bikini didn't come to America just yet.
Right. Didn't get popular anyway.
So there's just so many elements of it that it's really hard as somebody who was born in the 80s to relate to this movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I was really hoping that upon a second watch that I would appreciate it more.
Yeah, and like you said, this movie is not for us at all.
No, it's just him expressing himself. George Lucas is saying, this is what I feel, this is what I think.
Like, this is 2 generations removed from us, and it's a movie I haven't seen, but Wet Hot American Summer, isn't that kind of this movie, but for Gen X?
Kind of. It's like set in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that reference.
Okay, then let's just talk about this. We can talk more about this movie, but I want to know, what is our American Graffiti?
Oh, fuck me. I don't know.
I mean, seriously, I was thinking about Superbad.
Maybe.
I was thinking about Superbad.
American Graffiti.
Hey, it's a good movie.
It is, and it takes place in one night, and one is trying to decide if he's going to leave, and one's going to stay, Jesus Christ.
I got it.
I hate to admit it, but I think you might be on to something. I don't know why that makes sense, but it is a very similar movie in that they kind of go off in their own little lanes. Like, everybody has their own little storyline of what's happening. Yeah. Somebody tries to buy booze. There's cops involved.
There's a nerdy kid who tries to buy booze.
They're trying to get with the girl of their dreams.
Yep. And one of them is about to leave, like this is their final chance to hook up with a lady. They're all about to graduate.
Well, there you heard it, folks. Our generation's American Graffiti is super bad. Until someone can give me a better answer than that, I'm sticking with this answer.
Yeah, okay. As long as we're on it, what's the next generation's?
I don't know. I don't watch enough modern stuff.
What's the Gen Z American Graffiti?
If you're listening, Gen Zers, and would like to tell us what
you young people listening to this podcast with a bunch of almost 40-year-olds.
And a movie that is 50 years old this month.
Right.
Literally, we're going to be hitting this like in a week, I think.
Jesus. Honestly, I could not even tell you, like off the top of my head, what would be a good answer to that question.
We'll have to look into this.
Yeah.
We'll Google it later.
Again, if you have an answer to this, please email us because we are dumbfounded at the moment.
So let's talk about a couple other things about this. So this movie has significance also because it is full of a bunch of nobodies who became a whole lot of somebodies. George Lucas, not a known guy at this time.
Yep.
This is the last thing he did before Star Wars. And he did it on just a razor-thin budget. Everything is done like outdoors on the cheap.
At night.
Half the time they didn't even bother with lights, it feels like.
I could barely see the actors' faces in a lot of scenes.
And I'm like, are we supposed to be able to read a reaction? Do we not care that I can't see his face? What is he thinking? I would like to see his expression in this scene, but it's too damn dark. And that's most of the movie. And they're like driving in cars and the driver is in shadow, but you can see the passenger.
Yeah, and we watched this on Netflix and you would think, okay, this is high definition. They've maybe cleaned up the film a little bit, but no.
I think it's just so gritty to begin with.
Yeah.
There's no way to clean this up. This is always going to look like this.
It's almost like the idea of Clerks. Like, Clerks was made on black and white film because that's all he could afford. And yes, this was a studio film, but you had such a limited budget, and film is very expensive.
This is the independent budget of a studio production.
Pretty much.
So you also are working with a lot of actors that really hadn't made it yet. Ron Howard, as I said, was known from the Andy Griffith Show. He had done The Music Man, but he really hadn't come out as a teen or an adult actor.
Right.
He
was
hadn't
still
transitioned.
The kid, yeah.
He was still Ronny Howard.
Yeah, he was credited as Ronny.
And so this was a big get for him to be seen as an adult.
And also a leading man.
A leading man. He has most of the screen time. They're pretty evenly split, but he has quite a bit of screen time.
It's pretty even. I think he is presented as the leading man just based on how he is introduced and just his character.
And he's also one of the few people who had any credits that people would recognize at this point.
Sure.
Richard Dreyfuss, nobody knew who this guy was.
Not really. He was working, but nobody had really attached him to anything big up until this movie and then Jaws just a couple of years later.
And it wasn't until Jaws that he really broke.
Yeah.
Because by the end of the decade, he had an Academy Award.
Sure.
But here, he's just some schmuck with his hands in his pockets, looking 40 years old.
Seriously, I mean, I don't think I've seen too many Richard Dreyfuss movies. Like, I was looking through his filmography, and there are, like, I don't know, 3? Very few.
The ones that I have seen are all, like, his later ones in the 90s.
Yeah, same here.
I've seen more of those than I have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always interesting to me to revisit this stuff from early in his career.
Yeah. And like to me, Richard Dreyfuss, the name is like royalty in Hollywood. Almost.
And now he's basically retired. He shows up once in a while, but he's pretty well retired. I mean, think about this. He was 25 in this. This is 50 years ago. Yeah, he deserves a break.
But I mean, Harrison Ford is the only other person that I recognized anyway.
Immediately, anyway. There's a lot of people here that you've probably seen in other character roles.
Yeah, here and there.
But then there's also those people who just show up for like a scene or two. So Cindy Williams, you probably know because this is pre-Laverne and Shirley. She was Shirley. I was like, wait, which one was she?
Certainly wasn't Laverne, yeah.
She wasn't the one with the L on her sweater.
Right.
So yeah, this is a few years before she made that big, which of course is a spin-off of Happy Days.
Oh, okay.
So there's a whole nother layer of that there.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections here to Happy Days. Like, Like, we read that the character of Fonzie wasn't even going to be in Happy Days, but because of the success of American Graffiti, they made this character and based it on the John character, the greaser guy.
The greaser guy.
Yeah.
With the cool car.
With the roadster car, yeah.
Yep. And the other person who is very, very tiny part in this, you almost would not even know it was her. The blonde in the white car is Suzanne Summers. Again, pre any of her fame, Three's Company was many years down the road.
Yeah, she's on screen for like half a second.
And then her voice. She's on the phone at the end of the movie.
Right.
And that's it. But she became a major, major figure in a few years.
I wonder why. I mean, I don't really know what her career trajectory was. Like, what was the thing that launched her?
Wasn't it the Thigh Master? Was that her?
I don't know.
I can't remember if that was her or Jane Fonda. They both had, like, exercise videos.
Yeah, they both did. But, like, when did that happen? It was well into the 80s.
In the 80s. But this is kind of the cast we're dealing with and the movie we're dealing with. It's just a bunch of people who were famous in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's even a woman who's at the dance when they go to the sock hop. And it's Kathleen Quinlan, who is credited here as Kathy Quinlan. She's only in the one scene. She, 20 years later, is showing up in Apollo 13, directed by
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people in this movie where they came out of this and remembered this experience.
Totally.
They went back into their little Rolodex of phone numbers and names.
Who can I get cheap?
I gotta make a phone call.
Yeah.
And so it's just clear that this was a very impactful movie for all of their careers. The movie itself,
Here's the deal. I was expecting to maybe get something in the zeitgeist, like something I have heard from American Graffiti.
some moment,
Some line, some anything. I got nothing. There was nothing in here recognizable to me outside of me watching the movie. We watched a ton of movies, and there have been plenty of things that from movies that I've never seen that, oh yeah, I know that reference. No, nothing out of here.
This movie didn't have the cultural impact that something like Star Wars had.
You know what it had, though? A soundtrack.
This movie must have been a nightmare. A nightmare. First, to get the music to put in the movie, and secondly, as we have gotten into the age of distribution with physical media and streaming, looking at the number of TV shows that get hung up in logistical hell because of the soundtrack.
The licensing in order to get that to appear on something. Not only do you have to license the movie itself, you also got to get permission from the other studios.
So I don't even know watching this if these are all of the original tracks or if something has changed.
No,
or
I can't
if
imagine
everything
they would
is
do
fine.
that. I think that would be pretty sacrosanct. You cannot change the soundtrack of this. Without the soundtrack, the movie is terrible. In my opinion. The soundtrack makes it.
Well, there's no score. There is no music in this
No.
movie. The soundtrack is that of whatever they tune into as they're driving around.
And Wolfman Jack.
And Wolfman Jack appearing as himself.
Okay, I knew there was one. Wolfman Jack is a real guy.
Yes.
And I had heard of Wolfman Jack, but not in the context of this movie.
No, I don't know why I know who he is or where I first heard the term Wolfman Jack.
I mean, I've heard people doing impressions of him and referring to that voice as a Wolfman Jack voice.
I would say the cultural touchstone is Wolfman Jack, but that's not even about the movie.
It's not.
But it is. It's kind of intertwined because what they're listening to is the soundtrack of Wolfman Jack. So he is more culturally important than what's going on here.
And I read that the reason why he's even in the movie is because George Lucas grew up listening to Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just ask him and he says, okay.
And I looked through his filmography as well, and pretty much everything that he shows up in is as a DJ or as Wolfman, or like he is that character.
What else would he do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he was an actor. He just shows up when asked.
Yeah, he's charismatic, and that's all you really need to be as a DJ.
True enough. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the events of the movie, because again, it's not a whole lot of arcs. It's not a whole lot of development, but there's obviously some stuff that happens along the way.
We are plopped into this kind of pivotal night in the lives of these characters. But again, not much happens of consequence.
So let's start with Lil Ronny Howard. So he plays Steve, and Steve is going across the country, and he begins the evening by telling his long-term girlfriend that they should see other people because it will strengthen their relationship.
Oh, boy.
That sounds like the old
this
cliche.
Sounds like a boy from the 1960s.
It's boy logic.
Yeah.
Absolute boy logic.
Yeah.
And he does it throughout the movie where it's like, why don't you give me something to remember you by?
Right. And, he even has kind of the attitude that I had when I was in high school, saying, oh, yeah, high school relationships are just silly. Like, come on, we're not in love.
We're adults now.
Like, this puppy love that we have is just nothing. We can just move on from that and see other people, but we can still be a thing.
Yeah.
I'll see you in 3 months.
We're adults. This is an adult decision. You can date people, I can date people, and it will make our relationship that much closer.
Right. And there's really not much else happening with that character throughout the entire movie. It's just their relationship.
Yeah. And they fight and they make up and they break up and they get back together.
And that's kind of how high school kids are. Like, I remember high school when all of the other kids around me, I hear the gossip of, oh, this person and this person broke up and then they got back together. But while they were broken up, they hooked up with other people and then they got back together. It's fucking Friends. Really.
Yeah. And in this era, it wasn't uncommon for people to just marry the first person they dated in high school.
Yeah.
And it's not to say it's not going to work out. They could live a very long and happy life together.
Right.
But I also don't disagree with his logic of, don't just marry the first person you met.
Yeah, you're going to be moving across the country. You're going to be having a much different experience because not a lot of people go to college. And after you go to college, you might be a completely different person.
And in 1962, keeping in touch was slightly more difficult.
Yeah.
So I understand the logic of bringing it up. But, decide that you're going to do it and then do it. Don't do this wishy-washy, we can still date, but we're not dating thing.
But even by the end of the movie, it's still up in the air. Like, yes, they are back together because, she says, please don't leave me. And he says, okay, I'm not going to leave you. But he had already made the decision not to leave, even though he was dead set on going. I just don't think that this thing is meant to last at all.
Maybe, maybe not. In the end credit, we don't find out if they stayed together.
No.
All it says is what happened to him. What
Right.
matters, what happens to her doesn't matter, even though
No.
she's got almost as much screen time as he does.
Maybe more.
That's some bullshit, George Lucas.
Right.
Maybe
Give
she's
us-
the smart one in this relationship.
Give us the postscript on the ladies.
Yeah, she married someone way better.
You know who was going places?
Who's that?
Carol.
Carol, the
young
14, 15-year-old.
The younger teenager.
Yeah, who doesn't want to hang out with her older sister. They don't
Right.
want her to hang out with them.
Right.
But she doesn't want to be stuck at home.
But you know what? She's got a good head on her shoulders. She knows what her boundaries are. She can scrap it up with the older kids when she needs to.
She's playing older than she actually is when it serves her.
Yeah.
But she also very obviously is like, nope, I'm young. It's
Right.
fine. Go away. Drop me off.
I like that final scene where John tricks her into giving out her address, saying, well, I can't help myself. I'm just going to have to come over there unless you give me your address.
I can't resist your
can't
sexual
resist you.
magnetism. In her scrubby little t-shirt and her ponytail.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
But this is also kind of one of those, if you're going to try to be analytical about what's the point of this whole thing, is he is older, she is younger, but she acts older, and he is kind of, arrested development, as it were.
Right. And I would say if there should have been an arc, it should have been him. Because even at the end, when you get the postscript, he fucking dies in a car accident by a drunk driver. It's not even his fault.
Yeah. And at the end, when they have the drag race, he's like, I was gonna lose. I was losing. He had me until he rolled the car, which Also, they rolled the fucking car and neither of them had a scratch on them. They just walked
With
away from
no
that.
safety gear whatsoever.
There's no seatbelts in 1962.
No.
This is bullshit. I don't believe it. But he says he was gonna have me. And his little buddy says, no, you're still number one. You're the best in the biz.
Yeah, he's being like pulled back from wherever he's really wanting to go. Like you said, it's Arrested Development. And all of these other things surrounding him, like the cop pulled him over, knew exactly who he was because he's gotten a bunch of tickets from the cops.
He drives a rather distinct vehicle.
He does.
It's custom.
That's the thing, though. All of these other elements are keeping him in the place that he is in.
And he's happy with it, though.
But
until he isn't.
Is he? Because he's kind of lamenting all of these other people leaving him.
There is a downside to being the one who's happy where you are, is everybody does leave you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. He doesn't really, like you said, have much of an arc because at the end his buddy says, no, you're number one. He's like, you're right. We'll win the day. We'll win every race. I'll be number one forever.
Sure.
And then a few years later he dies.
Right.
Live fast and die young.
You would think that the archetype for this character, which didn't really exist to this point in media.
I mean, it kind of did, but not in this capacity. They were a little more one note. They were a greaser, a no good.
That's my point,
They got into trouble.
You would think that a guy like this would have been more rough around the edges, or would have taken advantage of the girl, or gotten into more fights.
He's not in a gang.
No. He's just himself. He's got a reputation in and of himself, and when he does get into fights, he is defending his friend and this girl.
Yeah.
So I would say if there's any, complicated character, it's him.
I would agree with that. And the whole thing, the dynamic with Carol, she kind of bosses him around.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, she's my cousin. I won't be seen with you. Hide. Don't let other people see you in my car.
Is this what it means by copping a feel? That was a funny joke.
But, they're kind of on an even plane because she's, like I said, playing older and he's playing younger. And then when he finally gets her out of the car, he's kind of like, you're all right, kid.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Maybe someday they could have a friendship.
Sure.
But they just have this one night together.
Yeah, I think that was maybe my favorite story out of the group here.
And then, of course, you have Kurt. So the Richard Dreyfuss character.
Yeah.
Who is just wishy-washy from the beginning, and he has a reputation of this is always how he's been. He can't make up his mind. Even his ex-girlfriend shows up and is like, yeah, this is how you've always been.
Right, and he's got $2,000 in his pocket, and all he has to do is get on a plane, and that becomes real.
Yeah. But he's still spending all night debating it. And meanwhile, he's getting into misadventures along the way. He sees this blonde who mouths, I love you, and becomes obsessed with finding her the rest of the night. Mm-hmm. He gets caught up with a gang because he sits on the hood of someone's car and minorly scratches it.
And they're threatening to drag him behind one of their cars and kill him, even though I don't think that's actually a threat.
But by the end, he makes friends with the gang.
Right, and they initiate him in the gang, but doesn't actually. It's weird.
Does he decide to leave town because he's afraid of the gang? I was trying to decide, is that what kicked him in the pants to go? What is the thing that finally changes his mind? I was trying to pinpoint the moment where he finally decided he's gonna go. And even up to the morning where he is on the phone, the mystery blonde calls him up. And she says, well, I cruise on 3rd. Maybe you'll see me tonight.
Right.
Even at this moment, hours before his plane is supposed to leave, he's like, maybe, I don't know. And then it's the most exhilarating, exciting conversation he's ever had in his life.
Yeah.
And then he gets on the plane. I'm trying to figure out how did we get, I understand Ron Howard from I'm gonna go to wait, no, I'm gonna stay, because he realizes the pressure and how much he actually does love his girlfriend and what happens when they kind of break up and he feels like shit. He hates it.
Yeah.
So why he would stay. I don't know the exact trigger moment for Richard Dreyfuss to decide, maybe I can do it.
I don't know if there was a trigger moment because it's very possible that he had already decided to go, but he was playing it off to his friends saying, I don't really know if I want to go, because maybe he was feeling guilty for having that $2,000 in his pocket. Like, maybe that is enough for him to feel guilty about leaving.
Like he leaves because he's been given this money and he would let people down?
Or he doesn't necessarily want to leave, but he knows that this is a great opportunity, and for him to throw it away would be stupid. I don't know.
I don't think he's thinking that through as much. I feel like it's just as simple as he's kind of a fuck up, and he's a good kid, but he can't decide what he wants to do. And he just keeps living this sad, weird little existence. Like, there's the scene with his ex-girlfriend where he just starts making out with her because she's there. Like, they don't even date anymore, and they don't seem to be too concerned about the fact they broke up.
I don't really give too much credence to that, because
I just mean
people do a lot of things with their exes.
I know, it was a convenience thing, if anything, and then he gets kicked out of the car.
Because again, it could be just this thing where he knows that he is going to be leaving anyway, and he knows that there's no consequences for any actions that he has. I don't know.
And like fucking up the cop car, he's involved with this gang, and they say, okay, we're gonna do this and you're gonna go and hook it up.
Sure.
And he goes along with it. I don't know. I don't understand why he suddenly is okay with it. Is it just he gets it out of his system?
I think he's just trying to have fun. Because even the people who gave him the money at the arcade / like soda
food
fountain
stand,
whatever the hell it is,
the Moose Lodge.
Yeah. They rob the pinball machines, and Richard Dreyfuss is there just kind of distracting the other guys. And as the other guy comes in, who also looks like he's like 45, 50 years old.
He's
Jesus
65
Christ,
years old.
Could you not get anybody younger for this? But as he comes in and saying, yo, we're all done here. And yeah, he just goes on and says, yeah, we're done having fun. We're having a great time.
And then they leave. And that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. His character's weird. He has the most arc, and I don't understand it.
No. The decisions that he makes do not make any sense.
And then in the end, he becomes a writer in
Canada.
Like, is he a draft dodger? Is that what happens?
I don't know.
Looking at the time frame of when this is and when that would take place, I'm just saying.
Maybe.
And then really the last person is it Toad?
Terry?
They call him Toad.
They call him Toad, but then he calls himself Tiger to impress the girl.
All right.
That's what it was.
And he's just this nerd who rides a Vespa badly, who is given Steve's car to take care of it until he comes home for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And it turns him into a whole new Terry.
He's likening himself a whole new Terry, but as he is driving along, like so many different people are ragging on him, saying, oh man, what a waste of car on you.
Yeah, you shouldn't be behind the wheel of that.
Yeah.
That's a nice car, and look at you.
Right, but you know what? He's got the confidence of a McLovin.
He is the McLovin of this piece. He 100% is.
He's got the confidence to, catcall the blonde lady on the street.
With success.
Yeah, and she completely falls for it and gets in his car.
And they have an adventure.
Together.
They're making out until the car gets stolen. Right. Which is a fucking stupid move on his part. You left the keys in it. You just acknowledged there are people walking around, and you left the car with the keys in it.
And you leave the keys in it because you want to have the radio on. And I was kind of concerned here that maybe the girl was just trying to use him in order to buy her booze.
I mean, that is another element of Superbad.
Yeah.
McLovin is the one responsible for buying booze.
It's true, but like she's in the car, she gives him a kiss and says something to the effect of, oh, I was hoping that you would be able to go and buy us whatever she says, some kind of booze.
You're smart, and I like that.
Right.
So you're smart enough to get the booze.
Yeah, you're different. Not like this other guy who was poking his head into a car that is not his, who has a previous relationship with Debbie, the girl. And she blows him off, and the guy is a complete asshole.
And pretending this kid isn't even in the car.
Bullying him from afar is yeah.
Yeah, you got some taste in men. Now, she held her own. Like, she was throwing lit matches at him, like, get away.
Yeah. Good on her.
So speaking of this woman, I don't think I know this actress from anything else, but apparently she got nominated for an Oscar for this.
Really?
Yeah, Best Supporting Actress for this role.
Wow.
which was very surprising to me because I'm like, what is she going to do that's so wild? I mean, she's good,
Sure.
but the Oscars are strange, especially certain years. Like, I was reading that this was one of 3 comedies that kind of dominated the Academy Awards, which was really weird and rare.
And like Betsy and I have talked about the 1970s, like this is kind of going against what we figure comes out of this decade as far as movies are concerned. Like, it's kind of a comedy, it's kind of a coming of age story to a point. It's just not the dark and gritty movies that we're used to.
I mean, it's gritty in the way it was filmed.
That's grainy.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's grainy. But anyway, going back to that arc, this character, Terry, has, again, kind of a lot going on where there's a man he's trying to convince to buy him booze who takes his money and then walks out the back.
Right. That's more of the comedic section of the movie. His sections, anyway.
Then he convinces another guy to get it for him, and the guy is robbing the place.
Right.
So he has to run.
Oh, yeah, you lost your ID, right? Okay, I'll take your money. What do you want?
Then the car gets stolen. Then he gets too drunk and he pukes in a parking lot. Then he gets in a fight because they find the car. Mm-hmm. And the guys who stole it try to steal it. He tries to steal it back from them.
Right, and they rough him up, and then, yeah.
And I'm a little unclear if they actually had to hotwire that car or they somehow got the keys back.
How would he know how to hotwire a car?
It's probably not that hard, especially in those days.
Those cars, yeah.
It was a big hunk of metal with some wires.
Kinda.
Like, I'm sure he could figure it out. And then at the end of the night, she's like, I had a good time.
Right. Hey, call me later.
Call me and we'll ride around on your Vespa. It's almost like a motorcycle.
I like motorcycles.
I like motorcycles. And she's very touchy-feely. Like, she's just kissing him and like, okay, bye.
Hey, good on him.
Yeah, who knew? And that's kind of it. That's kind of what everybody gets up to in this movie. Mm-hmm. There's some dancing and some music and...
A lot of music.
Motivational conversations with Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets on a plane.
Popsicles?
I'm sorry. Nobody gets on a plane except Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, there are only supposed to be 2 people, but it's only 1.
And nothing really changes in their lives, except they've all changed their lives.
And Betsy, neither of us knew this before we sat down here and decided to do this movie. There's a sequel to this movie.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
I was not aware until
What's it called?
More American Graffiti.
More American Graffiti.
And it's the same actors mostly, and they all have their own storyline.
Yeah, it's the same characters, but all at different points in their life later.
And they had to retcon this movie in order for that movie to make more sense.
Yeah, because at the postscript to this one, John dies in what, December?
In June.
June is when he dies.
So in the original credits, it said he died in June. I think in this one it said December.
Yeah, in subsequent releases of this movie, they changed the date or the month in which he dies.
So that it would make more sense because in the sequel, it all takes place in December, I guess. I don't know.
Something like that.
But apparently it's notoriously terrible.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter because the sequel is bad.
Oh, I'm never gonna watch it. I didn't even know it existed. I think people have tried to bury that fucker as deep as they can.
Yeah, I don't even know if George Lucas had anything to do with it. I'm sure not.
I doubt it. I'm sure his name is on there somewhere. Characters created by.
But you know what? Based on what we've read about this movie, I'm sure the studio really wanted him to do a sequel because it made a fuckload of money.
This movie made so much money.
Yeah. I think what did we read? It was like a budget of $750,000, and it made like 150 million or something absurd
in 70s currency.
Yeah,
which is a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, of course a studio is gonna want a sequel, but it didn't happen the way they wanted.
No, that's sometimes you can't recreate things like this. You just can't. It doesn't work. The magic doesn't translate.
But you know what? The people who were going to movies back then, I'm sure they would have really liked this movie.
They clearly did.
The boomers of the day, it blew up.
Well, and this is one that has consistently been put on like best of lists and
Sure.
the AFI Top 100
But
and
then
stuff like that.
The question is, who's making those lists?
The boomers.
It's not us. It's not us.
No, if you keep making that list, it will continue to change, and I'm glad of that. I think there are certain movies that deserve a spot as the top 100 movies of all time, whether they're in the top 10, the top 20, the
Sure.
top 75.
Yeah, you could make an argument that this is one of the most influential movies.
For different reasons.
For different reasons, because, I mean, period pieces like this, like nostalgia pieces, did not really exist at this time.
It was rare. Not this modern, I guess.
Period piece is a bad phrase. I would say it's a more of a nostalgia piece, because you're putting on this rose-colored glasses about this era. It is released at a time when the generation of people who were adults at the time of this release would want to look back at their time in high school and relive it along with all the music.
But that also creates a problem for this movie in that the shelf life is going to continue to get shorter.
You're right.
The longer this movie exists, I think the fewer people are watching it.
I mean, look at us. We are 38 years old. I am seeing it for the first time. You're seeing it for the second time. You figured maybe you'd like it more, but you kind of like it less.
Yeah. I don't think this is one I need to keep watching. It's not one that speaks to me. I don't really get it. It's not a bad movie, but it's so intertwined with this generation that it's really hard to show it to somebody who is like 15 years old and have them appreciate it.
Yeah, time and a place.
Unless you're like a car guy. If you're a car person, you're gonna get a lot more out of this for one specific reason.
Sure.
Well, Trent, I think we kind of both said our piece about this one. Do you have any other thoughts, any moments that we really need to bring up before we start wrapping this one up?
No, I think I've said my piece on this one, and we can probably end this. 1970s, not an era in which we like a lot of movies.
We're working on it. We're slowly figuring out which ones we enjoy. It is just a process. But that is going to be it for 1973, so we're 2 decades in, 63 and 73. We would love to hear your thoughts on one or both of these movies. You can email us neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We do have an email, but we also have a couple of comments on some of our recent movie releases. Speaking of car movies, we have a couple comments about Speed Racer.
Yeah, that's got cars.
We found the people who love this movie.
Yeah.
So the first one, they're very brief, is from Blake. He said, love Speed Racer, too much fun. And the other is from Sarah, who said, I genuinely, truthfully, unironically love this movie and will defend it until my dying day.
I know there are some Speed Racer fanatics out there who just adore this movie, and that's cool. I'm glad. It is a fun movie.
I love when we find the audience for that specific movie or this specific movie, whatever it is we're covering, where you and I maybe are like, okay, we get it, but we don't get it.
Right, like I had heard that Speed Racer is actually really underrated, so let's watch it.
I've also been seeing a lot of people, another movie like that, Big Trouble in Little China. I've been seeing so many people online recently being like, this movie slaps. I'm like, why?
I mean, it does, but in a way that we just kind of don't get.
We just don't get it. But if you love it, good for you.
We did cover it, by the way. If you're a new listener, we covered Big Trouble in Little China like a long time ago.
But another movie that we more recently covered was The Great Escape. So Blake also sent us a comment about this one. He said, loved this episode. Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
My dad loved this movie, and to a certain extent as well, Steve McQueen. He also mentions Clint Eastwood was a family favorite in his house.
Yeah, same here. Very much a dad kind of couple of actors and movies.
Cowboys and action stars.
Indeed.
He continues, I grew up watching those two actors quite a bit as a kid, and my dad had this movie recorded to a VHS tape, and I vividly remember watching it quite a bit. I haven't seen it for a couple decades, but my opinions mostly line up with how you guys feel. Fun, but studio popcorn entertainment with movie star performances. Sometimes there's nothing better.
Yeah. And the thing about this movie is that you don't really need to have watched it more than a couple of times. Now, we just watched it recently, but there's not much really to absorb here. And it is just very much a popcorn movie, like you said, where, you don't need to really pay that much attention. There's not a lot of deep character acting or anything like that.
There's a lot of people whose names you don't know, but you're like, they're the good guys.
Yeah, you don't need to know any more than that.
No, they literally gave Steve McQueen a sequence on a motorcycle because it's not historically accurate. He just wanted to ride a motorcycle. And they said, okay, Steve.
Yeah.
It's that kind of a movie.
You're going to be in our movie. We'll let you do what you want.
Absolutely. All right, we've got another email from our distinguished contributor, Mitch from Saskatoon.
Mr. Mitch.
So this is actually covering two of our recent movies called Random Podcasts. I think he's been cleaning up his back catalog.
Yeah.
He says, howdy guys. Quick podcast comments from your Canadian neighbor. A fish called Wanda. You mentioned that John Cleese's character was named Archibald Leach, Cary Grant's real name.
Indeed.
I thought this was ironic because it turns out that John Cleese also had a name change. His surname is supposed to be Cheese.
Cheese?
But his dad changed it when he was a young man to Cheesy.
Boo.
Boo. I did not know that his last name was Cheese.
I didn't know either.
That's amazing. Why would you change your name if it's Cheese?
I don't know.
Are you ashamed? Be John Cheese. It's okay. His next comment is about The Great Escape. I saw this movie a long time ago and am surprised that neither one of you had seen it.
Us too.
Good guy movie. I actually have more experience with the classic TV show Hogan's Heroes, which is sort of a ripoff of the movie in a few ways.
Yeah.
They also had Red Cross packages on the show, which means it must have been a thing. Love the Decades series. Do more.
We are. Thanks, Mitch.
Yes, I'm aware of Hogan's Heroes and that it is very much similar to what The Great Escape is, but it's not a show I ever watched.
No, we were more of a MASH house.
Yeah, we watched MASH a lot.
Yeah.
It always came on at the same time in syndication, and that was when you knew it was time to go to bed. That was like the very latest you were allowed to stay up in my house was if MASH was on.
Right. The other one that I would say that I remember that was the cutoff for me being up was Cheers. Whenever I heard the theme song, I told my parents I wanted to listen to the theme song, and then I would go to bed.
Negotiating at a young age.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. That's a great theme song.
It is. It's
catchy as hell.
I mean, and MASH is not a great theme song.
Not when
it's
you know
very
the
iconic.
title.
Right. It's iconic for sure, but it's not one I'm going to want to wait up for.
No, you're not going to sing along and talk about it with your friends.
Whistling along.
All right. Well, thank you, all of you who sent us those comments and emails. We would love to hear from more of you about any of these movies that we have covered now or way back all the way to the beginning of the podcast.
Yep, and pay attention to our social medias because Betsy will be posting some teasers to our upcoming episodes for the 80s and 90s and beyond.
You keep putting this pressure on me, Trent.
You have to do it. I keep on saying because you have to do it.
Fine. So email us your thoughts. That email again, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Or you can find us on those social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X?
Nah, we're not going to start calling it X.
I don't know what to call it otherwise. The platform formerly known as Twitter.
There you go.
Please use those to send us a message about any and all of these movies. You can also support the show by clicking the link in the podcast description, and we can keep bringing you more fun.
That's
fun.
what we're having.
But most of all, we would love if you would go on to the platform where you are listening to this podcast, rate us 5 stars, write us a review. If you aren't already listening on Spotify, go ahead and check us out over there because we're trying to grow our base on that platform in particular. So that's gonna be it, Trent. We've made it through 2 decades. We're on to the 80s, 1983.
Not quite when we're alive yet.
We're just a little bit shy of when the two of us were walking this planet.
Indeed.
But you have that to look forward to. In the meantime, this has been another episode of Never Seen It. I am Betsy.
I'm Trent.
And we will catch you in the 80s.
Bye-bye.